and welcome to the Happy Pet, Happy Family podcast. I'm your host, Virginia, and today we have Fernando and Mellow.
How's it going?
Hi.
Sorry, that sounded weird because I'm trying to get comfortable.
Welcome.
Welcome, man.
Oh yeah, I am in your house this time.
This is Whiskey Studios.
Whiskey Studio. That is true. This is definitely Whiskey Studio.
Name after my dog. My dog's name is Whiskey. Not necessarily that the whiskey is naming the house.
How are you doing this morning?
Good.
Afternoon?
I'm excited. It's a long time coming for
I
you to swing
know.
by.
The last time I was here was how long ago? Like 2 months? A month?
Easily 2 months.
Easily 2 months, yeah.
Yeah.
And we've been planning this episode forever.
This was.
And you know, it's not even going to come out until a month and a half later.
That's okay, man.
You're like episode 6 or something.
It's okay. It should be. You're catching, in my opinion, you're catching Mellow at a good time, which is what I believe is the point of this episode, right?
Yeah, sure. What do you mean I'm catching Mellow at a good time?
So Mellow has a beginning, and he hasn't had the, I don't want to call it an end, but like the end result.
The final result. Yeah.
So in my opinion, it's nicer to catch it early than being like, oh, and this is how the story ended.
Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah. And there is going to be, by the way, an episode 2 of this because, like he said, Mellow is not done with Mellow's transformation.
I like the color rebuild.
The color what?
A rebuild.
A rebuild?
I rebuild this guy from the ground up. Yeah.
You know he's a living thing, right?
I know, but the what do you call it? The analogy? It fits so perfect.
Oh, okay.
I haven't.
We
talked about this last
I feel like the audience doesn't know what the heck we're talking about. So why don't you let me interview you for a second, and then we can get to the dirt of everything.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
So how's Mellow today?
He's great. He had a big day yesterday.
He did?
Yeah.
What did he do yesterday?
I took him on a tour. We had, me and my wife had errands to run. And the most uncomfortable part of having dogs is that you have to schedule yourselves like, hey, no matter where you're at in the planet, at 5 o'clock, you got to be home and take them out, feed them and whatnot. So you have to stop whatever you're doing.
Sure.
And
you guys had too much to do.
No, screw it. You take one, I'll take the other. We're going to take them myself. So we had to go to my in-laws, and I'm like, they're going over there. So I took Mellow with me. We took Whiskey over there, too. We had him hanging out. And then at some point, I had family in town, and I had to go to my dad's house. So I threw him on the truck and then took him all the way to a different side of Texas. And then he was hanging out over there.
A different side of Texas? Is that where the in-laws are?
The in-laws are in one zip code, and then my dad is at another 7 zip codes away.
Oh wow. Okay. So he had a trip. He went. Yeah. He was your companion.
He was acting like a politician. He said hi to every single person that he can bump into.
Of course he did. He's a sweet boy. He just wants to be loved.
Yeah, he wants to be loved, and if he doesn't know you, he wants to be loved from you. Like, oh, you're a new person. Let me introduce myself. Pet me. Have the full experience.
It's a new love.
Yeah, so
it always feels better.
He had a big day. By the time I was doing like the 3rd trip on the truck, he just got on the truck and knocked the hell out.
Oh,
it was awesome.
I love it when I can do that for my dog. When we can do so many fun things that they're like just knocked out by the end of the day.
That they are involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, the moment that he saw his vest, is that what you call it? The harness on his chest? The moment you don't see him as active because that's not his personality. Hence why his name is Mellow. But the moment he saw the vest, he knew something's fixing to happen. So his tail was moving so hard. I was scared of him start knocking walls down by accident. So
he was so happy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me get a little bit of history on you since the audience doesn't know you. How many dogs have you, or how many animals have you owned before Mellow and Whiskey?
Man,
Including childhood.
The official answer is 0.
Oh, really?
The only one that I can account for, it wasn't even mine. When I was in college, I was living with my dad, and the neighbors caught a dog by accident. They just opened the door, and the dog came in. They're like, "This is our dog. Apparently, he's a full-blooded pitbull."
Oh, okay.
But they didn't know what they got themselves into, and they never gave him the attention that he deserved. And because we were sharing fences with him, I will get home from work or school and take him out and hang out with him. So he was my unofficial dog. His name was Lucky. And the moment that they noticed, they're like, hey, look, we need to find arrangements to not have him here anymore, because they didn't know what they got themselves into. Mm-hmm. They were nice enough to knock on my door and tell me, hey, would you like to come over here and say goodbye? Because he's fixing to go to a relative that had a junkyard or something like that. And I think I spent the next 4 hours with them with Lucky till the person who was gonna take him actually stopped by.
Aww.
Yeah, man. So
you definitely always had a soft heart for dogs, but
I wasn't. I don't think I ever had the facility to have them.
okay.
And I mean, in the sense of like the environment, like where I was living at. If you live in an apartment that's, you can tell it's not designed to have a dog, like you're not gonna have it. And my dad's house was not designed for it by my dad's standards. So
Okay.
But when someone asks me how many, like you just asked me, I was like, you had a dog? I have to say no, because it wasn't mine. But
you loved it like it was yours.
But in the back of my head, I was like, that was my dog.
Yeah, for sure. This is a big question. Okay. So you haven't really had any pets to call your own up until now, except for Whiskey, of course.
My brother counts? No, it doesn't count.
Yeah. It depends on the brother. What about Whiskey? I know Whiskey came before Mellow.
Yeah, we got Whiskey. So my sister-in-law, she had a Chihuahua, and Chihuahua got
impregnated.
That's so nasty. She got pregnant, and on the ride, at some point she was like, she asked, I want to say 5 or 6 puppies. I heard that they had decided
4 puppies. She's showing me 4.
4?
4.
Yeah, so it was three females and 1 male, and Crystal, my lovely wife, she wanted to get, I'm assuming all of them. But one thing led to another. I negotiated to 1. I was like, bring the male. And I still have a video when he showed up here at the house. So we brought him in. My biggest concern was that I had no idea if those puppies were going to get adopted. And
you were worried about whether or not they had a home?
They were going to have, because she was just going to take them to a shelter and be like, all right.
Oh, okay.
Y'all have a good luck. And I felt bad because I'm like, how can I feel like I want to help when literally I have a place to have them? I feel like it was very hypocritical of me to say, well, we're not going to have them. When I have the space, I have a reasonable yard that the dog can be happy at. And
right.
I was like, you know what? It's very hypocritical of me to feel bad and feel like someone should do something, and I'm not fixing to do anything about it. So I was like, let's turn around. Let's go pick them up.
Yeah.
We picked them up, brought them home. And, oh, man, it was, in my opinion, an experience to get used to the lifestyle having a dog around.
Yeah, for sure.
So he wasn't a rescue, but
he wasn't in the greatest situation either.
And it's not like I would look for him. Like, he just kind of stumbled into my life, and I made the decision. And obviously, we try to do the best with him. But
yeah, absolutely.
It's funny because he also has health problems.
Yeah.
Even though we had him since a puppy.
Well, that's for another episode, because today's about Mellow.
Oh, yeah, man.
But we could do another one with both of you for Whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be really fun. So what about Mellow? How did Mellow come into your life?
November, I want to say.
Yeah, I think it was November.
November,
or October. No, it was November. No, wait. Was I pregnant when we met?
No.
Okay,
but
so
you just had a brand new off the lot baby.
Correct. So that would be November. Yeah.
Yeah. So
brand new off the lot baby.
Yeah, man. Just got her out of the dealership. Like, that thing was spanking. It still had the brand new baby smell.
Yeah, she did. She did have the. I know when I told you I had a newborn, you're like, what? Why are you here right now?
We were like 5 weeks. I think you said something like that.
Yeah, I came back early. Yeah. So it was about November.
I was running errands, and I one of my errands was stop at my dad's, and So I was rolling up on his driveway. I saw like 3, 4 kids. And my first reaction was like, let's run them over. No, I'm kidding. They were, I was weirded out. I was like, why 3 kids at my dad's house? And they were huddled up around something. So I parked the truck away from them. And I came close to them and they just waved, but they were trying to pet a dog that looked in very rough condition. And because I was coming into the property, like they dispersed. They just went their own ways. I don't know where they went. And
The kids?
yeah, the kids, and
They
left
bounced.
the doggy. And I mean, he was in rough shape to the point that I didn't even want to touch him because I don't know if I was gonna expose myself to something, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, you never know.
and I mean, it was a rough shape dog. And I went inside my dad's and I said, "What's up with the dog outside?" He's like, "Oh, he's been there for a while." So I remember going back.
Just chilling there, just laying down?
He's been cruising the block for a while.
Oh, okay, like just kind of roaming.
And I remember going back outside and I saw across the street in the corner there was a bowl and he had like weenies, like food that you can find on anybody's fridge, like bologna weenies if you have kids.
Oh,
right?
okay.
That's weird. And then I came back inside my dad's and I saw he had put like cat food outside, but my dad doesn't have a cat.
He was trying.
And I went and talked to my house. Like he's like, he's been there for a while, and I think the neighbors they're trying to reach out to him, but not adopt him. Like just have do the minimum for a dog.
Keep it alive, basically.
Yeah, and
Give him a little food.
it bothered me, and I knew of somebody who what do you call it? Foster dogs, and I reached out to them by texting 3 other different people, and they gave me a list, the famous list, the stupid 3-page long single space 3-column list with names and phone numbers that's not worth anything.
It's worth something. Yes, it is.
It was, man, it was
It was
Friday.
frustrating for you.
It was Friday or Saturday. Godly, I gotta look back. But anywho, one thing needs to know that I started going down this spreadsheet of single space 3-column, easily more than 50 phone numbers, and it's designed to reach out to shelters, all kinds of shelters. And by all kinds of shelters, I mean like no-kill, personal shelters, public shelters, SPCA, city shelters, every single thing that takes dogs.
Right.
So I start calling them one by one. First of all, I started looking at the ones that had Houston zip code, so 7133, whatever the hell. So I keep getting nothing, and my goal was, let me find a shelter that's willing to take them.
Let me slow you down. When you called the first shelter, what did they tell you?
Nothing. They didn't answer.
Oh, okay. When you called the first shelter that answered, what did they tell you?
I will put them down for you if you want.
Oh,
Well, and not only that, it was so efficient. Oh, no problem. Give us our address. We'll pick them up. And I'm thinking, I'm making progress. And then it hit me. I was like, wait, pick them up for what? Excuse me, picking up, and what are you going to do exactly? Oh, well, we're going to take them and put them down. Isn't that what you want? And in all fairness, I was trying to be level-headed. I'm like, in a certain way, good to know. Good to know that I can call this number. They'll
sure, because
pick them up.
Surely you would eventually, well, not you, but like anyone could eventually come across an animal that really does just need to be humanely euthanized. Like suffering to the point of that's all it really needs.
It's a valid option.
Sure.
That's the word. I was
Sure.
like, thank you. I'm going to save your number, put it aside, but that's not what I'm looking for. And I didn't say this to the caller. This is not what I'm looking for. Thank you. It's useful information. I appreciate it. Hang up the phone. And then I went to the next phone number that I can find.
What options were presented to you other than that? Like, were there any from anywhere? They tell you, like, did they ask you questions about him? Like, you know, how big he was, what kind of dog, things like that?
Yeah, it was very important for them to know what size of dog it was.
Yeah.
Later I found out that if they have to feed them based on their weight, and they also have to feed, I don't know, X amount of numbers in the shelter, they're gonna spend more food on that one dog that's bigger than the rest of them, and they don't want to.
And space.
Because
you need bigger cages for bigger
true.
dogs.
I didn't think about that, but yeah.
Yeah. Because like with small dogs, like like say whiskey. Whiskey's like a 20-pound, 25-pound little terrier mix. Yeah. And he would fit in a cage that could be stacked upon 3 cages.
Y'all got bunk beds. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like right.
It's a locker.
Yeah, it's like a locker of cages. So like imagine you can stuff like probably 4 or 5 or 6 of those big locker things full of like 10 or 15 cages in one room. I mean, you can't put Mellow in one of those.
I never had to put my mind in the position of a shelter.
Sure.
So at that moment,
why would you? Until now.
Yeah, exactly. So at that moment, I'm like, man, the bare surface of the information, it makes sense. They don't want a larger dog. So
yeah, for sure. But not everybody's as receiving that information like that. Usually they're like, why wouldn't you treat him the same? It makes no sense. And I get that to a point, but like logistically, I think that shelters just don't have enough money period, and so they have to make those hard decisions. And it's hard to explain that to the public because not everybody reacts like you do.
Not only explain it to the public, in my opinion, the public, some of them are not going to have the desire to have a level-headed mind.
Yeah, and most of the time they don't even want to know. They don't even care. They're just like, "What? Take him. Take him.
But you should take him. Like, hey man, like slow down. No, take him. Man, like,
why can't you take him right now? Because I worked in a shelter, and I sometimes when somebody came up to me with a big dog, we couldn't take him that day. I would tell him, keep him for 3 days. Yeah. Call him, make an appointment, and then we'll take him. Because sometimes we just got to get prepared.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't think about that.
You know what I mean?
Like, no one through that experience, no one told me that either.
And that's sad. That's sad because whenever I worked in the call center for my shelter, I would explain things like that to people because they would get so angry with me, and I know it's coming from a place of not understanding.
But that's the other part of it. We just mentioned the public, but the people in that planet, the physicians, the people that are in the call centers, the people that are working there, do not know or don't have the time or patience to talk to the public the correct way.
That, and they're not trained. And I think that what equipped me personally better for that job, which let me clarify, I hated that job. I'm not a phone person. I'm not a receptionist. But it's because I've been in multiple different situations to kind of give me the perspective of everybody. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I don't think all of them that work there have that perspective.
And I know what you mean because I dealt through this whole experience with multiple types of characters. Mm-hmm. I dealt with the people who are willing to do their job, people who are just like
I just
chewing their gum and I just work here. The one that are like gonna give you 3% of helpful information, and the other ones
just get the people at the call center, they get like these are the responses you give to these answers or these questions or whatever. And I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that because I am who I am. You know what I mean? I'm just a helpful person. But if it were anyone else that didn't care as much as I did or didn't have the effort that the mental stability or whatever it was, they just read off that thing and that's it.
I should have documented the procedure from beginning to end in a better way.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We're getting an idea. It's hard. You call all these places, you get kind of the worst answers, especially for a large dog. And then what? Then you brought him to us? Is that what happened?
So that day, it was a Friday, and it was during November, and it was the same year that we had that winter storm in Texas that pretty much shut all us down.
Yeah, shut us down and killed a lot of people.
So regardless of that winter storm, like the rest of the remaining of the year, it was still cold. Mm-hmm. Sooner or later, like it like just a random day, it will get stupid cold. So after 2 hours of calling all kinds of shelters and getting just 2 answers that were valid and they weren't even acceptable because they were like, we'll put them down for you. Mm-hmm. I was nowhere, and I'm like, you know what? I tried, and I got in the truck and I left. I felt like if I was to tell anybody, which no one was gonna come after me, but I was like, at least I spent 2 hours of my day on something that was completely out of the schedule, and like you said, like trying to do something out. So I left, but man, I was just lying to myself. So I came home. I kept going with my day. I don't even remember what I did the rest of the day. But I remember that same night, it got stupid cold to the point that I was wrapped up with those Mexican tiger blankets at night. You know it's cold when you start pulling out those type of blankets.
Yeah.
And man, like I had a hard time going to bed because all I kept thinking about is him in that cold ass environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was nicely wrapped up like a burrito in my bed. And the next day, I try not to take naps, but every once in a while, like I forced myself to take a day nap. Well, I kept thinking about him. Kept thinking about how he was sick. Kept thinking about it was cold outside. I kept thinking about how he didn't have any food. So I kind of forced myself to take a nap just so I can stop thinking about it because it was aggravating me. Okay, well, that same night, that was the second night, and it was cold as hell.
Again.
And then Sunday came, and it's cold as hell, too. And I'm like, golly. And I'm trying to go to bed, and I force myself to go to sleep. So the next day, I'm at work, and I keep thinking about how to help the dog. And I had to call my brother, he has a big heart for animals, too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I remember.
And I told him, dude, I have this situation. I tried calling every single place. I'm just calling you to bounce ideas. He's like, dude, I'll get on the mission with you. I'll try to do as much as I can. Give me a picture of him and little tiny information like what breed is he a large dog kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So then that was on Monday during work hours. At 3:00, he texts me. He's like, hey, man, I'm going through this list and I'm calling every single shelter that I can.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like a 3-page list with a single space 3 column. It's like, yeah.
You're like, fuck
I'm
that
like,
list.
burn that bitch.
Burn that list.
and it's funny because he was doing the same steps I was doing. He was just 3 steps behind me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was getting nowhere.
Yeah.
Frankly, I was doing it on a Friday. I think it was after work. It was afternoon, like 12.
Mm-hmm.
People leave Fridays early, like no matter what office.
And some people are just closed by 12.
Exactly. Yeah. So he was having no luck on a Monday at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I was there's a that's whiskey. I know, man. I know. And there's a Harbor Freight, which is a tool store close by my job.
Okay.
It's not called tool store. What is it called?
Feed store?
No, like a Tractor Supply.
Yeah, okay. Feed store. That's what we call it.
So
us horse people call it feed stores.
So they sell all kinds of random tools. I was like, right after work at 5:00, I went over there. I bought one of those moving blankets that people use to move furniture whenever you were moving.
Oh, yeah. The pads or whatever, yeah.
And they have a dollar store right next door. So I went and bought 2 cans of dog food or like cents each. And I bought the cheapest plastic bowl that I can find. And I'm like, I'm going to go to my dad's. I'm going to put that blanket outside my dad's porch. That way he has somewhere to lay down on. And I'm going to feed him. So by the time I get to my dad's, it's dark because it's November and it gets darker sooner. And I roll up and I don't see any signs of him. So I just whistled hoping to find a dog to come through, right? And he came out of my dad's neighbor's trash cans.
Trash cans?
He squeezed out of there. Like he had found shelter there. And I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to put dog food on the dog bowl and I'm going to put it on the sidewalk. And while hopefully he's eating it, I'm going to put this blanket rolled up, trying to make a pillow out of it and put it in my dad's porch. And I bought that blanket because it was like $3.
Yeah.
I was like,
and it was good padding.
Yeah, I think I spent with that and dog. I think I spent like $7 tops. And so what the weird part about it is that he came out of those trash cans and he didn't went across the yard on my dad's. He went to the sidewalk. Like a conscious human being, he walked through the sidewalk. He rolled up my dad's concrete driveway, and then he came on the sidewalk to the porch.
He lived there.
I just found it weird. There. Like, and I know it sounds like that's unuseful information, but it plays a key factor down the line because he's a puzzle. Like I kept finding things
new things about him. Yeah,
that are very abnormal from any type of dog. Like even if you have a house dog or if you just find it like, or the breed, like he's just
Right.
very iconic of him.
Right.
And so sure enough, he goes straight for the food, and as I'm putting the blanket, making it as a pillow, I felt him breathing on my neck because I was crouched down on the floor trying to make a pillow out of it, and I turned around, his nose was touching my nose, and I don't know if dogs cry with tears, but his eyes looked like they were crying with tears, and I'm like, that's it, you're going home.
That's it. You're coming home with me.
I was like, I was trying to do everything I could to not adopt him, but still wanted to do everything I could to
But you
help
hadn't
him.
quite made that decision yet, because when you came to me, you were like,
Well, see, that's the thing. You're coming home with me
so
till
I can figure
out
it
what the hell to do. And
I see. So you were like, I'm going to provide better now and then see what happens.
Exactly. So I called my brother and I told him, hey, I have him on the bed of the truck I'm going home with. He's like, dude, you take him home, give him shelter. I'll pay anything you want for him.
Aww.
Which it seems like, in my opinion, a very 50-50
situation.
Yeah, because he's like, get him food, get him shots, I'll pay for him. Like, but he doesn't have to deal with, I have to be home. I have to clean if he makes a mess, and wherever I'm going to keep him, I have to feed him. Like, it takes time out of your day.
Sure.
To do those activities. And my brother was just paying the bill. But it's still paying the bill. It's not something simple. So to make the situation even a little worse, my pickup has a bed cover that's non-negotiable. Like, it has to be shut down.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So I grabbed the same blanket that I was putting in my dad's porch, and I put her in the bed of the truck, and I picked them up with gloves and another jacket I had. I was like, I'm going to use this jacket to cover myself from him because I don't know this dog. He looks in rough condition.
Right.
And I put him in the bed of the truck. He had to be in a closed bed of the pickup for 20 minutes as I was doing the journey from my dad's to my house. And the entire time I felt like crap.
Yeah.
He was in a closed environment. He was being transported.
It was dark.
It was, pitch black.
I'm sure he thought it was like the end.
And I was like, the entire time, I was by myself in the pickup, and I was driving home, and I'm like, just thinking in my head, just trust me, bro. Just trust me, bro. It's cool. Just trust me a little bit. And I'm like, it wasn't helping anybody, but like,
but you maybe.
I was like, just trust me, man. It's okay. And I can only think about if he wasn't hungry, if he wasn't focused on being hungry anymore, he was scared to death. Like, what the hell is going on now?
Yeah.
I finally get him. I'm driving as smooth as possible, and I finally get him here, and I roll the truck back, and I open the lid, and he's just completely laying down on the blanket, like the best position ever to be transported. But you know how, I mean, for those who have transported dogs,
they're not the best.
They're not the best when it comes to transportation. They want to stand up. They're like, they don't know any better. So, no, he just laid down like a turtle.
Kind of makes you think, like, what has this dog been through?
Man, so I finally get him off the pickup, and I put the same blanket in the garage, and it was really cold, but I grabbed a heat lamp, kind of like the lamps that you see at the grocery store where they have chickens, like cooked chickens, and they just want to maintain the heat. So I put a heat lamp close to him. I put him in the garage. I made a pillow out of that blanket, and in my opinion, man, if he's too hot, he's gonna make himself away from that light.
Yeah.
But if is really cold in the garage, as long as he maintains himself close to that lamp, he's gonna be warm.
I mean, it's not like he's a kid. He's an animal. He knows, like, this is hot. This is not. I want to be by this. I don't. You know?
So I figure, like, he has to be smart enough to figure out the comfortable distance between the heat lamp and how cold the garage was. Well, I happen to have a webcam, like a nanny cam in the garage, just because I'm weird. And before I went to bed that Monday night, I looked at my phone, and I saw him in a donut shape on the blanket under the heat lamp,
all curled
with
up,
the light on. And I'm like, I slept like a baby for 3 days straight. Was it 4 days straight? The entire weekend.
You were just anxious.
I was bothered by him, and then I slept so good. I curled up on my bed. It was cold at night, and I knew that he was in a comfortable spot. He had a full belly. That night, he was gonna sleep better than most nights that he had.
And then you slept good.
Dude, I had a weird dream.
Oh.
I had a dream that I went to my dad's and I had a duffel bag, like not a duffel bag, a doggy bag, like the takeout bag, the paper bag when you go buy food at a grocery at a restaurant. And my mom, my dad, and my brother were there, and I was gonna have dinner with them. I was like, "Hey, look, check this out!" And I brought that bag full of cash. It was like bundles of money, and then I put it on the counter, and then we had dinner. And then I woke up, and then I had my day, and I remember the dream, and I'm like, the bag of money was the dog. I mean, it could be me connecting dots that don't exist, but I remember that I was like,
maybe, I mean, it could have just been like, what's the happiest thing you could imagine? Because that's how you felt. You felt like happy. You felt full inside. You felt good, like at peace.
I slept so good that he
That's
was
good.
here, but I didn't know any better that the task was just starting.
Yeah, for sure. This is truly a rescue story. And people that are listening, if you call your dog a rescue dog and you didn't do any of this.
No, because it's funny.
It's not a rescue dog.
I thought whiskey, there has been many times when people ask me, it was like, oh, where'd you get him? I was like, oh, I rescued him. No, no, man.
Not like
really. Mellow.
Because puppies, I don't know if you can rescue puppies because, listen, everybody wants a puppy.
Yeah.
Everybody, even if it's a mutt, everybody wants a puppy. We had those little mutt newborns that I brought over that one time.
Yeah,
they all got a home immediately.
Yes. That's what happened with Whiskey's siblings.
Yeah,
is it called siblings?
Yeah, okay. It is. Yeah, they got homes immedially, right? Because they're puppies.
Next day, every single one of those dogs.
Just because it came from an accidental pregnancy doesn't make it a rescue.
So, to give a perspective of the condition that Mellow was, he was malnourished. Whiskey.
He came over to let me know that I'm still not welcome.
Jesus Christ. Sorry. For those Chihuahua owners, Whiskey has Chihuahua in him, and it flares up often.
Those that are subscribed to my Patreon, you'll see a video of him probably with Mellow. And so you'll see what kind of dog he is. But he doesn't look like a Chihuahua, but he definitely has those characteristics.
He looks like a coyote.
He looks like a terrier.
Yeah, he looked like a coyote that licked the power outlet.
Okay, so you got him home in a warm spot. You had a great dream. Then what happened?
I woke up early in the morning and I make sure he was okay. I fed him. And then I went to work and I make sure the camera was facing him so I can like monitor him through my day.
Yeah, see who he is.
But to give a perspective of the condition that I found him in, that Monday, Friday, November, Friday.
Describe him.
He was malnourished. He was skinny. You can see his rib contour. What I assume was a rash all over his butt cheeks on both legs, going down halfway to the knee where it bends. I thought he had a rash in his private areas. I tried to figure out how old he was by looking at his teeth, and he had rotten teeth and just like shattered,
broken.
His fangs were like not like what do you call it, like worn out. No, they were cracked, broken, and gone. And what else he had? He had the biggest part of him. He has a huge. What cup size is that? Is it like a 32
That's a D.
C?
No, it's a D. It's a D. It's not a double D, but it's a D.
It's a human D boob on his hip, on the back of his hip.
Yeah.
Which is the first thing that you see whenever you see him. So I should have started there, but yeah, that's the biggest visual issue that we thought he had.
But to the untrained eye, before you came to me, you thought it was a tumor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
it could have been.
And I'm untrained, right? And I was like, he has that big old ball on his back, like a hump, but it's all the way to the back of his hip. And then he has a tiny little ball, like a wart. Is that the correct word?
I guess, yeah, I think it's called a papilloma, but I can't remember. I have to look at it again if it's a papilloma or if it's just a little cyst.
It looks like a grape, and it's bald, and it's pink, and it's on the back of it's like popping out of his fur.
Yeah, I think we decided that was a cyst. I haven't poked it yet.
No, so he had all that, and I want to look. That's already enough. He might have other
correct.
Stuff, but that's a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
and then in general, he was like dirty and
he didn't have any fleas.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, and he was dirty, like you said. He was.
Yeah.
So I'm like, golly, like this.
But mostly he was skinny.
Yeah, he was skinny.
Oh, man.
And he had a constant, it would sound silly, but a constant sad puppy look on his eyes. Like would not budge. And he will eat anything. Like he can if he could, he will one bite, he will eat an entire apple if he could. Like he wanted to eat.
He was hungry. He was hungry, yeah.
So malnourished, has a hump. He looks like he has a rash. He looks like he has a rash on his privates. He has another little tiny marble growing out of his back. Like he was in rough shape. And we didn't know what to do. My brother and I made up this plan. We're like, look, we're not gonna do anything through the week. We have lives that we have to attend to. So
right.
Let's plan for the weekend. We'll take him to get checked at a clinic. And then we'll take them to shelters and see if they'll take them. So, sure enough, we start going to. Can I start calling names out and talking crap about them? Because I tell you, like we went to this shelter and they tell me fuck off. Like,
no, I mean, because I'm sure they didn't say fuck off.
I really wish I can call them out, but
I'm sure they were in a nice way telling you we can't help you. Okay, tell me exactly what they said, because I think your perspective is because they weren't helping you, so you're angry.
I'm trying to be level-headed.
But
I don't want to.
You're about to cuss out people that were really just trying to do their job.
So
and by the way, have no say in anything.
So there was this girl named Stacy. I'm not gonna be calling names, but Stacy. No, I'm kidding. I have no idea. She looked like a Stacy, but I don't know if she was Stacy. No, we went to the first shelter. It took one look at him and said, like, if you're leaving, we'll put him down. Because they were thinking, if they're going to bring a dog in, we're going to try to put him for adoption for a forever home. But no one's going to want to pick up this dog with a hump on his back, super skinny, and with a rash on his butt.
So they told you, like, he's not an adoption candidate.
I tell you what, I'm now looking back in this particular second, I'm glad they told me, if you leave him, we'll put him down. Because if they were saying, yeah, we'll take him.
Because they don't always tell you.
Exactly. Yes. No, now looking back at her, I'm glad she was blunt, Stacy.
Was her name really Stacy?
No, I have no idea. But it's fun to actually.
So you went to the first shelter. They said, we can put him down for you, but we can't offer you anything else.
We won't take him. Yeah. So then we go. We take him to another shelter, and I want to say the name. And they're like, we can scan him for you. And I didn't think about it. I was like, yeah, scan him for a chip. Well, come to find out the dog had a chip on him. And I'm like, it baffled me. So
yeah, because he was in such crappy condition.
Well, sure enough, they had a chip.
Who could have owned this dog?
That lead went nowhere.
Yeah. Was it even registered?
They scanned it. They told me, look, they gave me a little notepad, and then look, it has the brand of the chip. It has the last phone registered to this chip, and it has
the chip number
and name.
Oh,
that's
name.
all.
And then you called the number?
I called the number. It went to a voicemail that it sounded like a work phone. Like if I have my work phone on my desk and someone calls it, you're gonna hear my voice saying, "Hey, leave a voicemail."
Yeah.
I left the voicemail the best way possible. I was like, "Hey, I found this dog. I believe it's yours.
Or was it
call
some
me
point?
back." And that was it. That's all. Like it went nowhere. I never got a call back, but I did got a talk down by my brother saying like, "Hey, I see you struggling to find out who it is that used to own this dog. Be prepared to find out that they don't want him back. Like it wasn't lost. They lost them on purpose. There's a difference."
Yeah, or the things I've come into, it's made me like, I can't assume anything because people get their dogs chipped when they're puppies. This dog's not young.
Well, that's another thing. He was clipped already.
He was clipped. He was chipped. Imagine him 5 years ago, somebody's dog, and then say they got divorced and they couldn't afford him anymore, so they rehomed him, and then that family acted like they wanted that dog and then gave him up anyway, or just let him out. You never know. You never know.
Exactly. We went through, like, I want to say a bottle of whiskey speculating. because we were like, well, he's chipped. Well, maybe they did take him, but he had a hump. Maybe they lost him on purpose. They didn't want to take care of the hump because apparently we found out way down the line how much the hump was worth, how much it was gonna cost.
Which was worth.
Yeah, that sounded right. How much it costs to get it removed, and when someone,
if you pawn it, right?
you know how many girls want that boob?
The want titties.
And Mellow is growing them on his back.
But yes, it does. It costs a little bit of money to get it taken off, but it's also not.
They go home.
It's not dangerous. Where it is could cause problems, but it's not it's not a terminal thing. But imagine like a family that couldn't afford very much vet care. They could only afford vaccines and stuff and they see this huge thing growing on them. What if they said, "Well,
and
I can't
all they
afford
see
this."
is the money racking up on that bill. Yeah. No,
you never know. You just never know.
Them.
And then there are like horrible people out there. So very, very easily, this dog could have been somebody's. Yeah. Project.
No, we thought.
The second shelter, then what?
We found that he had a chip. It went nowhere. We found. Well, I can't believe I never saw it, but he's clipped. Like I noticed that day also.
Not the first thing normal people think about, I suppose.
And it's funny because I have track of it. I found that was November 13th. Mm-hmm. That's also when we met, bro. Well, you met Mellow. And it sucks because I was driving all over Houston.
Yeah.
It was like on the north. We went to the north side on 610, and the line was stupid big. It was on a Saturday morning, and there's this clinic that gives free shots or very like dirt cheap vaccines and stuff. Yeah. The line was stupid long, and we were getting nowhere for an hour. And we're like, dude, we're gonna waste the entire day on this line, and we probably won't get where we want to get to with him, which it was. Get a check on him. Mm-hmm. Tell us if he has a rash. Tell us if he has a disease. Tell us if he has heartworms. It's like a big deal. Like, tell us everything. We couldn't get it. Yeah. And we went to south side of Beltway 8 to another clinic. Mm-hmm. And that's when we found the chip and they told us, we can't take your dog because he's too big and we're at capacity. Okay. And then we went all the way to the north side and met you. But even then, that was a trip. And I don't mean physically. It was like trippy of an experience because we show up to that building and then they tell us, well, you need to go to the shelter area where they take them in.
The rehoming area. And let me, before you continue, because I did something...
You're not supposed to?
Correct, with you. So. Yes. So keep in mind that I was working at the shelter. We can say it because it's all over. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. But I was working at the Houston SPCA, and I was really mad with them. We didn't have the greatest relationship. I wasn't very happy there because I wasn't in the job that I felt like I deserved. Yeah. Et cetera, et cetera. And I had just had a baby, and truly, I'm the kind of person that I want to help you, and with your situation, this facility I worked at could not help you.
It was.
So I wanted to give what I could without, if you were going to take it. Because I really took a risk telling you everything I told you because some people would have reported me. Some people would have gotten angry with the things I was telling you. Right. Even though they were just... Let me tell you what I see.
But they were the right thing to do, and
it was. But and I recognize that. But I just want to preface this. So I'm prefacing this by saying it was technically unethical. It was technically against my employer's guidelines, I guess, for my job. But I never want to work there again. So now we can talk about it. It was the right thing to do ethically for me as a person. But for my job, if I was still there, I would probably get in trouble, if not fired.
It was one of the perfect examples of, like, if you look hard enough, you're going to find that. And it goes in general. Like, what we needed was someone that has experience with dogs' health to take a glance at them for a few minutes.
And give you realistic.
Hey, man. He has a rash, buy this cream. Just simple ABC. Right. And it's so weird because we went to one shelter, we didn't get anything done. Went to another shelter that told us, look, man, bluntly, we're not going to do anything with him. And if you leave him, we're going to put him down.
Can I tell you how our interaction was supposed to go?
just like them because you started that conversation. And
I know. And you were like
that down.
You nicely shut it down, and that's what kind of gave me the trust to do what I did. But so what you did was come up and say, "Hey, I have this pet. I don't know what to do. I really need to find him a home." And of course, my perspective working there was, "Okay, you want to drop him off. Well, we can't take him." And then I looked at him, and he's a pit bull mix, whatever he is. Mm-hmm. He's got health problems. Yeah. He's old. Yeah. We're not taking him. And I knew just by looking him that he was 95% probably heartworm positive, which means we would have definitely not taken him. Yeah. So I give you the list because that's what I do. That is the safest thing in my job at the time to do.
The 3-page.
The same exact list that every shelter gives
3 column single space.
And I will be honest with you, our list is better slightly because of one of the workers that worked there. She kind of tried to do a little bit more. But it's still just a list of people that can't help you right now.
You and I recall this completely different. I rolled up in that parking lot and then I went in, and this is COVID time too.
Oh, this is after COVID. It was 2021. Yeah, but so it's a little after COVID, but still we're doing COVID precautions.
Yeah, so I have them on the bed of the truck in a crate with a tent on the back with nice weather. I just want to clear that out. I didn't have him in Texas heat on the bed of the truck. No, he was a very comfortable. He's being transported in a very, very, very comfortable way. And I went up on the door and I knocked on it, and you just cracked the door open and stuck your head out.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're like, "Can I help you?" And then I'm like, "Dang it, I have to sell this the best possible in the shortest time possible." So I'm like, "Hey, listen, I have this dog. He looks like he has health conditions. I just want to know if someone can take a look at him." And you were like, "We're not taking any dogs right now, but I can give you a list." And I'm like, "Is it the 3-page, 3-column, single space list?" Yes. I'm like, I'm going to be honest with you. Do not give me that.
And you were so nice about it. Because I've had people cuss me out for that list.
I think you're saying that I was nice because you compared me to the worst.
Yes, because you were very blunt. I guess in a normal situation, it wouldn't have been very perfectly nice. But for me, that was very nice.
And in my perspective, I felt like I was being too rude. I'm like, I'm not getting anywhere.
You were just being blunt.
So I was like, all I need is for you. Can you at least take a look at him in the bed of the truck? And you said, it's funny because I was expecting you to roll your eyes and tell me no. And you were like, yeah, let me just get some gloves. And I'm like, oh, I'm getting somewhere.
Yeah,
with this.
because gloves, because you never know.
Yeah. So, no, 100% I thought it was, but it was like, yes, she's going to take a look at him. She's taking it. If she needs gloves, she's taking it serious. Not like, I'll glance at him. I'll take a look at him from here. Show me a picture of him. No, you were like, let me get some gloves.
Yeah.
And I'll go over there. And I was like, yes, I got some progress going. So then you walk to the truck. And this is how I tell everybody this part of the story.
Mm-hmm. Like, okay, please tell me how you tell everybody because I want to know.
I can't take this dog, which I thought it was again, right? But you're like, I can't take this dog. There's nothing wrong with him. And I'm like, what do you mean? Wait, at first I was going to say, what do you mean you can't take him? Tell me why. And then you were like, and then I was like, did you just say nothing wrong with him? And I'm thinking,
there's lots wrong with him.
Obviously stuff wrong with him. He's leaking oil. His battery is not working. One of the windshield is shattered. His back tire is deflated.
You know why I said that though? Because sometimes we can take animals if it's emergent.
Yeah.
Right.
So I thought, what do you, a person who's wearing scrubs and in my cartoonish mind is a professional.
Hey, I am a professional.
Exactly, because it's like she's wearing what they call a white robe. She's a doctor.
I was not wearing.
But you were wearing scrubs.
Robe. But yes, yeah.
And I'm like, you know what you're doing, at least more than I do. So I'm thinking, what do you mean there's nothing wrong with him? And you start going through his entire report card and telling me, like, man, he's fine in here. I was like, but he has a rash on his butt. And you're like, that's not a rash, that's callus. And then you're like, have you ever seen pit bulls have callus on their elbows? It's the same thing. Mm-hmm. It'll go away. Mm-hmm. And I'm like,
you could put Neosporin or Aquaphor on it if you want.
Okay. And then you're
like, okay, progress. So I'm like, not gonna get a rash. Cool.
Like, and you're like, well, he doesn't seem to have any fleas. And I'm like, okay. And then you go and look at his hump, which is the most disturbing part that every other person has. Like,
and I squeezed it.
You squeezed it, you grabbed it, you shook it, and you're like, this is just grease. There's nothing wrong with it. Look, he's not grease. I think you said grease. Fat. Okay, yes. And you're like, see, it doesn't even bother him.
Yeah.
And then you're like, how old is he? And I'm like, I'll try looking at his teeth, because everybody knows that they keep their birth dates like marked on everything. No,
correct, right? Yeah, you see little numbers that say the year they were born. Yeah, absolutely.
And they have like a little barcode that you scan with your phone. It'll tell you their birthday parties and stuff.
We're just kidding, by the way. Our humor is very weird. Very dry.
No, you look at their teeth.
Yeah,
and
you look at their teeth. You can tell around how old they are usually.
And you're looking at it, it was like, he's been chewing rocks. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I had him for a few weeks. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's bad. And now you're telling me he's been chewing rocks? Mm-hmm. I shedded an Indian tear, like, just by hearing that thing.
An Indian tear?
Yeah, you never seen that commercial?
No.
There's a Native American. He looks like a land full of trash, and there's one single tear singing it. It's very famous. It's like a meme.
It shouldn't be a meme. That's horrible.
Yeah, it's like back in the 80s when they were really, like,
oh my God,
heartless and unawoken.
We're still there. Actually, we're back to the 50s. But
so yeah, you telling me nothing wrong with him? You start going down the list, and you're like, he's fine.
I mean, he looks skinny.
You're
for
like,
sure.
Just feed him, give him his vaccines,
get him heartworm tested.
You can get this removed, and then you start talking to me about it. It's like, look, man, I thought it was so funny because you put it on horse, like a horse term. Like if you're gonna have a race horse or like a show horse, you're like, look, man, if you take this old Buick and take it to a veterinarian, they'll probably fix all of these problems with them for like $500.
Yeah.
And I'm over here concerned about his health,
thinking he was like dying.
And you're saying, dude, if it was a show horse, you take him to the vet and they'll cut his hair. They'll probably like clean his, what do you call it? Or the feet, the horse feet.
Okay, I don't know where you're going with this because that's not what vets do.
But you said it like that.
Did I?
You said it. You're like, if you take them to a vet, they'll probably fix all of this up for you for like $500. Yeah. And it sounded to me like, because I know people that have horses.
Oh, okay.
And they'll prep them.
It basically sounded like, take them and they'll fix them up for you.
Exactly. Or like if you take a car detail.
Sure.
It's like you take this car to the shop, man. They'll probably charge you like $100 to get a detail and another $100 more to get it ready for a car show.
Yeah.
You were like, yeah, they'll fix him up for you. They'll take this lump on his back off. They'll clean his teeth. They'll shower him. They'll bring him back to life. You have a good dog. He's a good dog, and I'm like, it was insane to me because all we've been having is bad news from people who now I know they're going to know what the hell we were talking about. They didn't know what they were looking at. Oh, this is a dog? Like, and then you glanced at him and you told me exactly what I needed to know.
Yeah, yeah.
And you told me that in a parking lot.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. And this is why I was telling you I was so unhappy at this job because they had me as a receptionist, checking in dogs, and that was it.
Which you did a great job at.
Thanks, but I hated that job so much because as you can see, I have 10 years. Like I actually kind of messed up and doxed myself, but I actually have 9 years of veterinary experience. Like hands-on. I'm not just talking like I helped doctors. I helped doctors that would answer any questions that I had. And so I always asked them like, yo, like this, what is going on with this dog? What is this cancer that you're talking about? Can I see? What does it come from? Like I ask all the questions. So like now I have that skill of just being able, man, I had a dog the other day that came up by my house and it had a cherry eye, and I just can see a dog and I can see what problems you might have. You know, it's just like that. And that's why I was so unhappy at that job because they just didn't value my skill because I didn't have any, proper education. Like I hadn't gone to school for this.
Yes.
So, but anyway, I looked and said, these are the things that were going on. And honestly, like I didn't look enough.
No, But first of all, you had way more help from you in a parking lot than I did traveling all over Houston and calling and consulting with people who didn't want to help me.
So now you had a game plan.
And it gave me, you gave me the right amount though. You didn't give me a full report, but just the amount that you gave me
to give you hope.
It was enough for me to say, I want to help him, because it really wasn't for me. It was like, he looks in distress. I want to help him out.
I think I scaled the problems down to where you didn't think they were impossible.
Look, my goal when I started this journey was, I need him to get some type of medical evaluation, and I need to get a game plan. If someone wants to tell me, look, man, I'm gonna be honest with you,
this ain't worth it.
Rough.
Yeah.
He's rough. He's rough. He's in pain. You give him 2 weeks of good life. Go buy him a steak dinner.
Yeah.
But you're gonna put him down. I would have taken him myself.
Yeah.
Because it was the right thing to do.
Sure.
But I had no idea. And if I were going with the first phone call, the answer from that list that I keep talking shit about,
he would be gone.
I literally had that mentality. I really had that image of like, he would have been gone the day I met him.
Yeah.
Yesterday when I was hanging out with him.
That's true.
I'm like, and he's like you said in the parking lot, dude, you got a great dog. You just need to, put new tires on it, get him an oil
just
change.
Just need some
and
TLC,
man,
baby. Just need some TLC.
Take him to
okay, so cool. So fast forward, right? You and we exchange phone numbers.
Yeah. I asked you, I was like, hey, look, if you gave me more help, I still gave you the money that I had already thought that I was going to spend on any clinic. I was like, hey, do you have a Cash App? Which
I definitely donated to that shelter.
Yeah. Nah. No, don't tell me that. I don't, if you were going to have been working that day, I don't think anyone would have helped me.
No, because the girls that I worked with didn't have a whole lot of experience, and this job was so set up and so scary for us that we really just did what we needed to do and got the hell out of there, because I promise you, like, I was scared for my life some of the times I worked in that job. People are crazy, man, and they do not care about you or your life or the fact that you have no control over the shelter.
So I heard. And people that are not in that planet will never comprehend. Have that idea come across their mind.
I had no idea. Before I worked at that shelter, I had no idea how horrible it was to work at a shelter, how hard it was, how angry people get. I had not seen that side of humanity before I worked at that shelter. So I didn't even know, as a veterinary professional, how bad it really is. I've had my kids' lives threatened over something that I had no part in.
So,
because I worked there.
And you worked at one of visually the nicest one.
Yeah, one of the nicest.
But this what's
one of the ones with the most money
50 conversations at once.
I know. Well, let's go back to Mellow then. So after I told you all of this stuff, we exchanged phone numbers. We talked a whole bunch about you going to a specific vet. It was my first vet that I ever worked at. I thought it was very low cost, which it was, I think. And he got his first stuff.
That was November 13th whenever we met.
Uh-huh.
And I found him on November 6th.
Yeah.
So the next thing, you told me this. Look, give him a shower, feed him, and take him to get his shots. And then now this is the only facility or at least program that I found useful other than the clinic that you work at now.
Right.
Vanguard Veterinary. I need to look that up because I want to give them a shout out or at least fucking point people over there. Vanguard. Oh, man. Anyway, they're called Vanguard and they are a mobile clinic. They do bare minimum stuff, but it's still very useful. And they jump from HEB to HEB, the grocery store here in Texas. They'll have a trailer. They haul it. And
it's like low cost.
Yes. Affordable stuff.
Preventative care for animals. But it's
so useful because there's no waiting. There are people park outside and they go from one location in like Northwest Texas from like 9 to 10:30. And then at 11 to, I don't know, one, I'm making up numbers.
This
They'll
could
go
be
to
the
one on the
business-
south right of
This will be
Texas.
the business I shout out for the week of this episode.
Dude, I use them monthly.
Really?
My brother uses them. It's so convenient. You go to the website, they'll show the schedule. All you have to do is roll up to the one that's going to be nearby you. Mm-hmm. And then you get in line, and then they'll ask you, what do you need done? And you're like, well, I just need a standard checkup. So they'll weigh the dog. They'll ask you normal questions, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll provide shots. They'll provide medicine for their heart. They'll do the bare minimum, but for too many people, it's exactly what they need.
Yeah.
So I took him there. They gave him his first round of shots, and then they're like, you want us to check if he has heartworms? His record came blown. It was like, you need to take him to a clinic like today if you can. And I'm like,
You're saying they did the test and it was hella positive.
It was heavy. It was heavy.
It was,
like,
yeah.
Oh man. So
I know exactly. So the test is like this little white thing. Did they show you the test?
yeah, it was in colors.
So it's a little white like snap thing. And the very top blue is the control, and then there's 2 and then 1 on the bottom that if they pop up, it's positive. I bet you he had all 4, huh?
I mean, I just remember being bad and telling me, you need to take him to a clinic quick.
Yeah, he was heavy positive.
So I called you again because, yeah, when we met,
driving home from the job I hate.
I called you again and you referred me to this clinic that you used to work back in the day. Mm-hmm. And you told me, look, man, these people are going to charge you what they should be charging you. They're not going to
upcharge you.
No.
Because I've definitely come across a lot of clinics that charge way more than they need to. Bougie as heck.
Yeah. So instead of sending me to the Galleria, you send me to Nowhere, Texas.
A good, reliable, affordable.
Which I live
vet
next
care.
to Nowhere, Texas.
Yeah, so it's perfect.
Perfect. So I make an appointment with them. I take them, and they give me a slow kill treatment for this.
Heartworms.
And to top it all, you're like, dude, there's many dogs that have heartworms that live perfectly good lives. There's treatment.
Especially, he didn't even have like any of the symptoms, which baffled me because if he's that heavy, he's older. How does he not like coughing up a lung? How does he not have heart problems? How does he not have fluid in his chest? Like,
Yeah.
He didn't have any of that. And when I knew that and he was heartworm positive, man, this is an easy
And
fix.
I gotta give a shout out because Rick, my brother, he paid the bill. He stuck to it. He's like, hey man,
He's a king.
You do the heavy lifting, man. I got you.
He's a king.
And I seen my brother, because he had a dog. She has somewhat of a story too. And then now he has another dog that he found on the street, very close to Mellow's story. Like he just found her and picked her up, took her home, gave her a great life. She's a great dog. And I've seen the way he behaves with those dogs. Mm-hmm. He comes and sees Mellow. He gives him hugs. He's one step away from baby talking to him.
No, because he loves that dog like you love that one dog that wasn't yours, but it was yours.
Yeah, man, I mean,
that's how I feel about all the dogs I see.
Yeah.
You know how heartbreaking that is?
Yeah, man, but like, golly, when you know where Mellow is coming from, and then, golly, it trips you. So we take him over there to give him treatment, finish his shots. He's doing okay. Yeah. But then we're like, hey, how about we do a fundraiser? Mm-hmm. So we try to make it fun. We're like, hey, let's do a fundraiser. We start bouncing ideas. We end up at a brewery in Houston, which I'm going to give a shout out to brewery, Eighth Wonder Brewery in East End. Mm-hmm. So I call a good friend of mine, Stevan, and he's very social. He's very good at this kind of stuff. And I tell him, hey, man, we want to throw a fundraiser for the dog so we can raise money for his surgeries. Mm-hmm. Can you help me out? And he's like, give me 10 minutes. Hangs up the phone. In an hour, I had a flyer. He had sent text messages out. I have a feeling that he pushed 2 buttons because he's used to this kind of stuff. But still, he did the work like nothing. Yeah. He was like, I got you. Cool. So we go to the brewery. And they allow dogs. So we take Mellow. We put Mellow in this. We got Mellow a jacket.
To cover up his
butt. Yeah. And it was perfect. It was made for him. So a few friends show up. They bring their dogs. The funny part, it wasn't a stupid blown up event. It was really cold that day. Mm-hmm. I was wearing girl tights under my pants so I can withstand the the temperature.
I did not even know that.
No, because I'm very slick, man. No, I was wearing double socks. I remember I put two pairs of socks because it was that cold. People are not gonna show up. Also, people don't want to show up. It was a Sunday.
And how much did we raise?
Dude, we raised $7 short from the amount that we needed to take care of his medical bills. And what I'm trying to say is we didn't have a blowout. We didn't get rich off of it. Like, we had just the right amount of people show up. The right amount of people donated. Mm-hmm. It's just enough, which is what we want.
Yeah.
Because we had a plan. We're like, dude, what if we get like $300 above what we need? Right. Well, in all fairness, we'll buy $300 worth of dog food through the time and spend it on him.
Right.
We didn't, but it's fine. We were $7 short. And a friend of mine was like, hey, if anybody asks that didn't go, hey, how did it go? Whatever. Tell them we put them down. And I'm like, why?
Did you really do that to someone?
Please don't tell me. It's like to make them feel better. They didn't go. They didn't donate. And I'm like, that is genius. So I go back to work. I send a bunch of messages, a bunch of people. They didn't go, right? It's like, hey, so how did it go? It's like, yeah, man, but we were $7 short. Oh, so what happened? No, we put them down. We didn't make the money. We got to put them down.
Oh my God, Fernando.
I let that.
I did not know you actually did that.
Yeah. And then 3 days later, it's like, hey, I saw a picture of Mellow on your Instagram. And see how, is that like an old video? It's like, no, man. It was like, then why'd you tell we put him down? Because you didn't go.
Oh my God, Fernando!
So
you can't do that to people.
It's okay. He's fine. My God. Mellow's fine. He's in great position. I don't care. It's
Mellow's
funny.
Very alive, by the way.
No, I have him. He's awesome. So then we schedule the surgery.
Yeah. So this is, I guess that's where
I jump in. Girl.
This is when I jump in.
This is where you go out.
So we brought him in. I'm taking him as mine into my clinic because, I feel like we've both been working on this dog for months.
Mellow is from the community.
Mellow's the community.
We've been talking about it, Mellow. He's going to run for an office, I think, in like 2023.
But anyway,
he's a survivor. He's from the people. His car is gonna say, "I came from the streets, and now I am a rebuild."
He's a transformer.
Yeah,
he's a transformer.
Oh no. He's still he got clipped, so I guess he is changing genders. But
anyway, so I bring him in because in order to do a quote for anything, you need an exam from a doctor. So I bring him in with me. He's on my account. He's my baby. And the doctor looks at him.
People's champ.
And we see his teeth.
Which we knew they were rough.
We knew they were rough, but I didn't look all the way in. And this is why earlier I said I didn't look hard enough. Because now we're looking at his teeth. And those are the number one problem in my head because yes, he has heartworms. We're working on that. Yes, he has this hump on his back and we're working on that. But these teeth.
But you found out why? Oh yeah, no, I'll take that back. I was going to say the way you found out was like, he's already under, the lights are on. Everybody has their gear.
No, that's when I decided, I'll get there. No, but we did this and we look in the teeth back there and man, they are nasty. Yeah. They need to be done. They look like swamp.
You can smell them. That's the crazy part.
And once we looked at him, that's when I asked you, I was like, is he eating okay? Like, and you told me like, yeah, he kind of eats weird. Like he eats everything all at once or like.
Maybe because he's trying not to chew.
Correct. So.
And granted, I always give him, grounded meat. Like I don't give him chunks of food.
Right. You give him canned food.
I'm very careful of his diet in the sense that I don't want him to chew a lot. Like I even give him bananas as treats.
Right.
He can kind of mush them up.
So we look at his teeth, we look at his hump, we get the estimate together. I bring you two. One is with a dental and the surgery all at once. Boom. And that was great. And then I gave you the other one with just the hump surgery because technically this is still your dog, so I'm still giving you the decisions even though I know what's right. But anyway, so we get it done, blah blah blah.
It's very conscious. Like you're not gonna sneak up on somebody and tell them we need to do all this stuff. Like you're keeping me on the loop.
Yeah, I was absolutely keeping you in the loop. So we decide we're going to do this dental and the hump all at the same time. Well, then the day comes and I clock out for this surgery. You know, I'm doing the dental. I get in there and I open his mouth and I start going. I start cleaning.
So the scope of work was for that surgery.
Yeah.
Was going to be remove the hump, stitch it up, right?
Uh-huh.
Remove the sunken tiny ball, like the grape
and
size,
clean the teeth.
And clean the teeth. That was the idea.
Correct. But we always clean the teeth first because it's a nastier surgery. And so we want to be sterile when we go in for the actual tumor removal.
Yes.
So that's why I did that first.
Yeah.
And it's the bulk of the work. Get it done. And then the doctor goes in and does the tumor. It takes like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm doing this and these teeth are way worse than I thought.
It took longer than... Once you saw how bad they were, you were going to take longer cleaning them than you expected before he went under.
And we had to do 2 major extractions, which I didn't account for because I didn't think you'd have to pull any teeth. I thought they were just gross.
But it's the time that it's taking to get that done that affected the entire scope of work.
The time and how he did. So while he was under, we're checking his vitals. Things that you have to be worried about is their temperature. They can't get too low. Their heart rate. And their breathing rate.
And we're working with a heavily warmed up heart, right?
Especially him with his heartworms.
And I say we because I'm a surgeon all of a sudden right now.
Exactly. We're working on a heartworm positive dog, which is always risky, but it's not the most thing we're worried about. It's mostly his temperature and how his heart rate and everything are doing. Well, during this surgery, you know, I was cleaning him, found 2 molars. So that's like taking out a wisdom tooth. We got to cut it. We got to, extract it. And we got to stitch the flaps back up, usually. And so his were so broken that we couldn't stitch anything up or it would like have infection. Yeah. Like it was just infected all the way almost to the jawbone. And so after I cleaned him, he extracted him. The temperature started getting a little low. He's an old dog. He's got heartworms. I say... We're done.
Hold on. So you took care of the molars, which was 2 of them, and they were black rotten.
Yeah. And broken.
There was also the front ones.
The front ones I could clean, but they were like very healthy rooted.
Okay.
So their roots were healthy, but the front ones that were broken, they're just broken and stained. So they actually are like healthy on the inside, if that makes sense.
You told me that some of them you just literally like... touched them, they came off.
The front ones, the very front, those little incisors. Yeah. Those, I thought, well, I guess I'd never touched them, right? So I didn't know if they were loose or not. Nah, they were barely in there.
So
they were just sitting in the pocket.
So it was the 2 molars.
The 2 molars in the back, and then I took out the little incisors because they just fell out.
So
if I would have tried to clean them, So he lost, probably about 5 teeth. He has no more incisors. Yeah. He has no more front teeth at all. And his canines are still there.
But the fangs that he has, these lower fangs, are half. Like the pony part are fucking gone.
Yeah, they're all cut. And I think they're all like not cut. I guess they're all broken. Yeah. But they're still healthy from the root.
They're huge.
So that's why I say like that. Those at least are. It looks nasty. It looks like it's painful, but it's not.
They're huge.
Yeah. But the ones in the back, I think, are what his main problem were because they were just. If you can imagine what teeth look like, right? They're hard. They're supposed to be hard. They're supposed to be bone. Mm-hmm. These were squishy.
Crazy.
They were so like swampy and infected. They were squishy, and like and so I clean them up so that when he extracts them, there's less infection going into the pocket. And so I clean them all. I take out the little incisors that just fall out, and then he comes and takes out the big ones. And then his temperature wasn't as high as I'd like. He just wasn't in the condition that I felt comfortable sending him into a 30-minute surgery when I could just wake him up, do it later. Mm-hmm. I mean, I work there, for God's sakes. This is my baby.
No,
so.
and I was like, if that's what you think is the best thing, man, just postpone it.
I just didn't want to risk it.
But if we would have known, that still would have been the best way to tackle this. Like, hey, let's do one dental surgery.
How did he do after?
So that's what I was waiting for. So
we didn't even know.
You call me, you tell me, hey man, so I had to make a call. We're gonna split this one surgery into 2 surgeries, and I just took care of the first one. I'm like, all right, it is what it is. I trust you. Good. So then I'm calling you because I'm like, he's had a surgery. He's dozed off. How's he doing? He's like, he's fine. Everybody's taking care of him. Like
everybody loved him. Everybody loved him. He's such a sweet boy.
I think he had the best time over there after surgery. It's like, hey man, is there another surgery going on? Because I want to hang out with this nurses.
And he did. He got to hang out.
So I go pick him up. I bring him home. I'm trying to take it easy on him and stuff. You have this antibiotics, I think it was, or was it steroids? I can't remember what you gave.
Antibiotics.
So I gave him antibiotics and stuff. The next day after the surgery, I go outside and I take Whiskey and Mellow outside, and I'm just walking them around the yard. And then I look at, if you recall me telling you, whenever I found him and I had just fed him and he gave me a look and I thought his eyes were crying, his eyes were not in that constant sadness anymore. He looked like if someone just told you a joke and then you turn around and look at them, their facial expression is still excited.
Yeah.
And I'm like, am I nuts? Like, is it me trying to make something that's not there? So I go and call Crystal, my wife, and I tell her, hey, come over here. Look at his face. And she's like, oh, look at him. He's not sad. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not nuts, right?
Well,
his tail was waggling. He was moving around. Yeah. He had that pitbull smile whenever like they opened their entire face, right? Granted, it was hot, but he wouldn't do that even if it was hot outside.
And that's what's so crazy about dogs, man. They hide their pain so well.
Yep.
You know, my first experience with dogs' fucking pain that they can take. Yeah. There was a puppy that got hit by a car, crushed its pelvis.
And you didn't know.
Still wagged its tail and wanted to kiss me.
The
fuck? I would have been fighting people if they touched me.
The next day, Mellow, I'm trying to feed him, and I'm kind of sleepy, and I'm trying to put the can, because I can't just give him the shape canned food. Like, I had to smush it because he will eat it in 2 bites. And then he's jumping around in the kitchen, and he's, like, hitting me with his tail, and he's, like, running in circles. I'm like, would you fucking quit, man? Like, I'm trying to feed you. Stop it. And then he hit me. I'm like,
He's happy.
You're not. Why are you moving so much? And he hit me. I'm like, I named him Mellow for how calm he is, because when I was going through that list, whenever I met him, they were like, well, how is he? Because I'm assuming they were concerned that he was feisty or like aggressive and they want to take him.
Sure.
And I'm like, I couldn't describe anything else, but like, he's so mellow. I'm talking on the phone and I don't know this dog, and he's literally laying on the floor next to me. Like, he's mellow, and I keep saying, because I made like 50 calls, I keep saying Mellow to the next phone call, so on and so forth. So I put Mellow because of his behavior. He was mellow no more because he was moving around, but he hit me. It was like he was in constant dental pain. He had no time for it. Like, even when I introduced him to Whiskey's running around in circles on him. And he's like, get off me, man. Like,
I'm not feeling good. Yeah.
He was in constant pain. He only moved to eat.
But
because he had to eat.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Here's why I keep telling, like, don't ever feel bad, because dogs, man, how would you know that was his mouth? He never winced. He never whined. You open his mouth, he doesn't care. He doesn't, like, he never reacted to anything. And so how would you know? He still ate. It's not like he didn't eat, because a lot of, like, the teeth problems we get in the clinic are they stopped eating.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't do any of that. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's just a chill dog, in that even when he was in pain, he just was...
He was calm.
More calm. He was just more, like, uninterested.
Yeah, uninterested. It's a very, very good
and I'm so happy to hear that. I mean, that's literally, like, this is number one reason why I love my job so much, because...
How can you not, man? Like,
I can make that difference. It's those wins
that you
crazy.
Take it to the pocket. Like, this is mine. I did this. Because, yeah, I can rave all I want about, like, bringing them home and trying to do the best.
No, but you did the hard work. I just did the medical work. But that's the shit that makes me happy.
Yeah, but I can put him under anesthesia on my kitchen table and start grabbing pliers from the garage.
But you paid for it.
No. The people, the drunks at the brewery.
The drunks at the brewery paid for it.
The well-hydrated people that were at Eighth Wonder that day, man, they did a great job. Cause
they did.
He will roll up on people we didn't know, because he's just that kind of politician. It's like, how's it going,
sir? He's not a politician. He's
my
a
name
nice
is Mellow.
boy.
We're here raising money for my campaign, and we have
my name is Mellow.
we have pictures of the individuals I have never met, and they donated, and and it went for a good cause. It got done. It was it turned out the best because even I have people that were very, very what do you call it? Interested in his health.
Yeah.
That had no business being interested in his health, but they were willing to put in the work to like, hey man, well, look, here goes a 20. Here goes 5.
Well, because here's the thing is like, I think people see you making such an effort for this dog's life. You know, you weren't looking for a dog. You weren't asking for this, but they see your kind heart doing this for this dog, and they know they can't do what you're doing, but they can do something, and so that is
it was perfect.
Donating, so.
And it got done. But we still have the second surgery.
Yes, we still have the tumor surgery. And the reason why I'm not so crazy, worried about it is because it's a lipoma. And for those at home that don't know what a lipoma is, that's just a mass of fat that looks like a tumor. It looks like a tumor, but really is just literally like a boob. But for him, I really think it's important to take it off soon because he's older and it's in a place where his mobility might be
he doesn't sit.
Compromised.
He never sits. He lays down or stands up. He doesn't have in between.
So it could just be really uncomfortable for him. But it could just be his hips too, because he is an old man, and
that was another thing.
He did sit. Those calluses came from sitting on bones for however long.
Yes, we didn't touch on that. Yeah, so his callus is gone. Like he has just tiny marks in it.
Yeah.
And I remember you telling me that as you were doing your clinical diagnosis on him in the tailgate of my brother's truck, which was very sterile. It was sterilized, by the way. It was very clinical. You told me that he had callus on his back. It was because he was so skinny and he was sitting on concrete.
Yeah.
Which I was like, God, it was just like you were just hitting me in the gut. It's like, yeah, man, he's too skinny. He's sitting on his butt in the concrete, and he's like, God damn it. He's like, look, his teeth. It looks like he's been chewing rocks. Like, golly. I mean, like, did you go to war, man? Like, were you captured? Golly. To make it even weirder, he doesn't like the grass. He will not lay on the grass. He only likes concrete. He only uses the grass if he's gonna go pee.
Maybe that's because he was homeless for so long, and he's like, nah.
Who knows, man? But he has weird habits that I wish he can talk to me. I was watching my wife's car, and then I had left the pickup truck doors open, and I couldn't find him. And I'm like, crap, I lost him. Now I'm gonna have to go hunt for this dog. And hey, has anybody seen a dog with a boob? And he was in the passenger seat
on his butt.
Yeah, he was in the passenger seat, and I'm like, "How did you learn how to get up here and lay down on the seat? And how do you know not to walk on the grass?"
Yeah,
he just walks. If I walk to the neighbor, he will walk through the sidewalk, even though he can cut off through the grass.
Well, he's not a puppy. He lived some life before. I wish we could know, but he had some life before. And somebody else had brought this up whenever we did his exam with his teeth, that maybe he was locked in a cage and he was trying to get out with his teeth.
I'll give you this though, if someone knows the owner after listening to this and you want to get him back, don't
bother. He's happy. He's fine.
Don't reach out, bro.
No. I highly doubt that anyone that would leave a dog like this would listen to a Happy Pet, Happy Family podcast. But
don't care.
Okay, well, let me wrap this wonderful first part of the episode up.
We're going to do a post-surgery?
We're going to do probably a couple because your dog is my dog is, or...
He's the people's dog, man.
He's the people's dog.
Mellow 2023.
No, he's just a dog that I'm very close to, that I have an involvement in. So I'm going to milk it for all it's worth for my podcast. So let me end this wonderful podcast with I'm going to pose a question to you, a very heartfelt one.
Okay.
So far, right? How long have you had him? Like 6 months now?
Since November 6th is when we met.
So 7 months.
And he got adopted November November
18th or something.
November 8th. He came home.
So about 7 months.
Yeah.
What's your favorite memory of him so far?
Oh, man, I really think it's a combination because
Okay.
I can't stress that enough. The moment whenever I told you that he looked at me, I picked him up. I was like, that's it, you're going home with me. I'll figure out what else to do after. And you do that in contrast with the day after the surgery that I can visually see his eyes. And it sounds so corny, but I wish I had.
He looked happy.
He was not in pain anymore. So knowing that he's doing great. I mean, there's a bunch of them because when we took him to the brewery, people that did not know him were showing him love, which he's been through so much that I don't know. Yeah. And he's been through so much that I do know. And you combine that and random people were giving him love, which that's all he wants. Mm-hmm. And the stories that you tell me of him being loose at the clinic, mm-hmm. and I didn't witness it, but I believe you 100% that like your coworkers and you were giving him just
constant love. I will say the place that I work now not only values me as with my skills and as a vet tech, but they love animals so much more than any other clinic I've worked at.
So for him, I have nothing to do with it. For him to receive that kind of attention after what seems he has been gone through, mm-hmm. Hell yeah, that's hands down.
That's the crack right there. Ever, That's so great. I'm so glad to hear that. And I'm so honored to be a part of his journey to a happier and healthier life. And I'm so honored to know you as a friend, honestly, for the work that you've done and for the kind of person that would do all of this work for an animal. It's an honor just to know you as a friend.
I appreciate it, but it's many of us. It's you. You have been a big part of them. My brother, every single person that went to the brewery, like my wife, the way she takes care of them.
Mm-hmm. No, Vanguard.
I put my part in, but it took a village to put them back together.
Yeah.
And all I'm wishing for is the next 4, 5, 7, 150 years, he's gonna be alive to have like perfect. Like I was driving with him yesterday on the little tour I was telling you, mm-hmm. and he was in the AC with a big old smile on the passenger seat, and I'm like, man, no more hard times for you, buddy. I got
you. Yeah. No more hard times. You're going to make me cry now. Well, thank you so much, Fernando, for being on my podcast. I really appreciate it. I hope that everyone at home can hear this and feel the feels for Mellow. If you want to take part in Mellow's recovery for any of his surgeries, I'm sure that I will have a link somewhere for that on the Facebook page or the Patreon or something. 15% of all of my profits from Patreon do go to local shelters, rescues, and or situations like this. And I hope you guys have a great afternoon. Thank you, Fernando.
No problem. Hey, we're going to put out his lymphoma on eBay after it gets removed.
We're going to put the boob out. Best bid. Best bid. Thank you so much. Bye. Lizards that grow, dogs that run. Although I am a pet nurse, I am not your pet's nurse. The discussions taking place here are for entertainment and educational purposes only, and is not a substitute for medical advice. Do not use the information discussed here as a replacement for care, advice, or to diagnose your pet. Please take your pet to a licensed veterinarian regularly, and if your pet is having any issues. I am not liable for your pet's health or anything you do with the information shared on this podcast. Thank you for watching.